atmosphere recordings. I actually could not record the rest during this week because I was not very well the past week. But I think Monday, හරියටම promise වෙන්න බෑ Sunday, Saturday, Sunday weekend එකේ මට වන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා, but Monday, Tuesday නම් I can. So I will send those two recordings as well. I think last day we were discussing an MCQ නේද? Before that, next week එකට ඔයගලන්ගේ extra classes schedule එක මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි එන්නේ. Okay. So I thought of starting a bit early in the morning so that it might not clash with your other classes. පොඩි හරි එහෙම clash එකක් තියෙනවා නම් හිතන්නකො like 10 දෙනෙකුට එන්න පුළුවන් එක්කෙනෙකුට එන්න බෑ කියලා. So ඒකට අපි මොකක් හරි adjustment එකක් කරලා ඒ දවස් විතරක් recording එක බලලා හරි ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි කරමු. Monday morning, wait, whiteboard link එක මම එවුවා. So Monday would be 12th. 12th morning, school seminars. Seminars at school. The entire week. අනිත් තියෙනවද school seminars? ළමයි? If it's the entire week, now that's a problem. සමහර අයට තියෙනවා, සමහර අයට නැහැ. හරි. Let's do this. Let's schedule like this. At what time do these seminars start? School time is there. At what time do they start? 7? 7:30? Okay. අපි එහෙම වුණොත් we will do this. අපි කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. මම කරන්නේ ඉන්නේ Monday, Wednesday and Friday, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning. Like I can start even earlier, but I thought of starting at 7 to 9:30, 7 to 10. If you want me to start it earlier, like at 6, I can even do that. Okay. 13th, 16th. Okay, so then I think you will miss 1 or 2. 12th කියන්නේ Monday ne? 12th Monday morning we have 1. Then 13th it's a maths one. So then 14th Wednesday we have another one. 15th unfortunately I cannot, but 16th Friday again we have one. Friday we have one. Okay. So for these seminars, for these classes, I will be combining the Saturday class and the Sunday class both. But for all the classes, as soon as the class is over, I will send the recording link to the group itself. So for those of you who are, like get absent or there's any other issue, I will follow up. But then that is a commitment. If you're not in the live class, you have to make the time and watch the recording. Okay, Onelka? Do you prefer if we start at 6:30 or 7? 6:30 to 7. We have to start today's work. 6:30 or 7? Okay. 7th? Apo 7:30 too late. 12th is Monday, ne? Okay. Seven to 10 දාමු අපි. උදේ උදේ AM. මේ Monday class එක shoot තියන ළමයි I have a previous meeting on Monday where I have to go to Mathura. 12th Monday I will confirm within today. But 14th, 16th we have the class. So these are our extra classes. Wait, again I will share in the group. Okay. All right, we will start today's work. Where did we stop last day? Because today I have to finish slightly early. කියන්නේ 9 වගේ අද ඉවර කරන්න වෙනවා class එක. ඒකයි මම strictly 7 පටන් ගමු කියලා කිව්වේ. Otherwise 9:30 වගේවත් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් හොඳයි, but unfortunately I will have to finish 9:05 ඒ වගේ පොඩක් ඉවර කරන්න වෙනවා අද. So let's quickly start. Which MCQ were we discussing last week? Which MCQ? Uh, 2017 MCQ. Okay, where did we finish? Let me get the paper. MCQ 30th question. Okay, great. (2017) paper. 30th one we finished, no? Okay. So then today we have to discuss from 31st question onwards. Okay. Let me get these questions to the whiteboard. 2017 Chanusha. මම චුට්ටක් කෙනෙක් බෝඩ් එකට යන ටිකක් වෙලාව යනවා. එතක අපි discussion එක පටන් ගමු. 31st question says an iron nail. All of you have the paper, right? මේ 2017 31st question එක MCQ වල. So ඔයගලන්ගේ අතේ තියෙන paper එක ගන්න. An iron nail which was in contact with a metal M was kept in an agar medium which consists of small amounts of sodium chloride, potassium ferricyanide and phenolphthalein. After 1 hour, only pink color was seen in the agar medium around the nail. M could be. Okay. So, answers කියන බලන්න මොනවද උගන් දාපු answers කියලා. year එක චානුෂ 2017. Can't y'all hear me? Ashwini, can you hear me? 2017, okay? In 2017, this is question number 31. Okay. ඒ අතරේ ළමයි ඔයගලන් බලන්න ඔයගලන්ට එක ඩිස්කෂන් එකක් හරි මිස් වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා because theory මිස් වෙනවට වඩා පාඩුයි past paper discussions මිස් වෙනකොට so එකක් හරි මිස් වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්න මිස් වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් මට කියලා recording එක අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉල්ල ගන්න, okay? Okay, an iron nail which was okay. So here now in this particular situation if you remember, okay, so some of you say 4. අනිතා තාන්ස කියන්න. But to talk about it, you know, in the agar medium, we have phenolphthalein. Then we have potassium ferricyanide. Potassium ferricyanide. So what do these do? Now, for an example, if we say that iron nail එක මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. Iron nail එකත් එක්ක contact එකේ තියෙනවා, let's say this is the iron nail, and let's say this is copper. A piece of copper is in contact with the iron nail. Will iron or copper oxidize first? Which one will oxidize first? Will iron or copper oxidize first? Why would iron oxidize first? Why? Why does iron? Yes. In the activity series, iron is above copper, so iron will oxidize first, right? Yes. So iron කොහොමද oxidize වෙන්නේ? Iron යනවා Fe2 plus 2 electrons වලට. Then in the medium, you also know there is water and all, right? Water තියෙනවා. But you know now when we consider the metals, Fe is more reactive, so Fe will oxidize. Therefore, this is the oxidation reaction. So oxidation reactions can electrons remove karne kane. So here electrons are removed. Then what would be the reduction reaction? What is the reduction reaction here? Will copper take electrons? Reduction means taking electrons. Will copper take electrons? No. Take electrons කරන්න කවුද? මම කොහොම reaction එක memorize කරන්න කියලා. Water, 2 water molecules with 1 oxygen molecule will take up 4 electrons and form 4OH minus. This is the reduction reaction in all those instances. Oxidation depends on which metal is the more reactive one, but reduction is common. The common reaction for all of those instances. මතකයි නේද මේක අපි අර petri dishes පහක කරේ? Here, the important thing is that OH minus ions කියන්නේ base එකක් නේද ළමයි? OH minus ions means it's a base. So what is the color of phenolphthalein when it is in a base? Okay, others? OH minus is a base. So what is the color of phenolphthalein when it is in a base? Yes, it has a pink color. Therefore, you can see a pink color here. Then do you remember we also said that මෙතන Fe2 plus ions හැදෙනවා නේ? With potassium ferricyanide, Fe2 plus will give what kind of a color? Yeah. With potassium ferricyanide, Fe2 plus will give a blue color. So in this particular dish, you can see both the pink color and the blue color. Now oxidation වෙන්න තැනට අපි කියන්නේ anode එක කියලානේ. So oxidation involves the iron nail. So iron nail has to be the anode therefore. Right? එතන තමයි ඔයාලට blue color එකක් පේන්නේ. මෙන්න මේ හරිය iron nail එකේ මේ හරිය ඒ වගේ පැත්තක blue color එකක් පේනවා. If iron nail is the anode, the remaining one is the copper. So copper should be the cathode. Even though this reaction has nothing to do with copper, it will happen at the cathode. එකක් anode නම් අනිත් එක cathode එක. So මෙතන copper නැහැ, but still this reaction will happen at the copper electrode, the copper piece. Is this clear to you? Give me a thumbs up if it's clear, lamai. Others? Okay. What if we consider this instance? Fe is in contact with magnesium. What will be the oxidation reaction? What will be the oxidation reaction? So if you consider magnesium and iron, magnesium is more reactive than iron. So before iron gets oxidized, magnesium will oxidize. So magnesium will oxidize, forming magnesium 2 plus and 2 electrons. Yes. Then what will be the reduction reaction? Iron, the magnesium oxidized, iron reduced. So as I said, reduction reaction is a common one. It would be this, right? 2H2O plus O2 plus 4 electrons will form 4OH minus. Now OH minus hadila තියනවා. OH minus hadila තියෙනවා, and you know with phenolphthalein OH minus will give a pink color. Has Fe2 plus ions produced here? Has Fe2 plus ions been produced here? No. Then you cannot see a blue color, only pink color. And now you know here, oxidation happens with the magnesium. So magnesium will be the anode. Then magnesium anode, Fe, so Fe will be the cathode. That's why you can see a pink color near the cathode. Metanahari, you can see a pink color, right? So මේ දෙක තමයි, I mean, these are the, like 2 examples. So මේ වගේ දෙකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එකක pink color කියන්නේ හැම petri dish එකේම උගාන මතකයි නම් pink color you could see because the reduction reaction is the same. OH minus ions will be produced with phenolphthalein, they will give a pink color. However, depending on the metal that Fe is in contact with, the oxidation reaction changes. If Fe is in contact with a more reactive metal, that metal will oxidize. So Fe2 plus will not be formed. You cannot see a blue color with potassium ferricyanide. However, if Fe is in contact with a less reactive metal, Fe will oxidize, Fe2 plus ions will produce, and it will show a blue color with potassium ferricyanide. If you look at this example, and not the example, the question, only pink color was seen කියලා කියන්නේ Fe2 plus ions oxidize වෙලා නැහැ. Fe2 plus ions oxidize වෙලා නැහැ කියන්නේ Fe has been in contact with a metal that is more reactive than Fe. Copper is less reactive, lead is less reactive. Stannous කියලා කියන්නේ tin නා. Tin is less reactive. However, we know aluminium is reactive, more reactive. Excuse me. So aluminium is more reactive. So that is the answer, yes. Consider the following features. Did you understand the 31st one? So it could be a bit tricky. I need to see if all of you understood this. Give me a thumbs up. So last week I asked you to send me some electrochemistry cells, including electrochemical cells and electrolysis cells. I asked you to send within, like, I don't know, that day or within 2 days or something, but I did not receive all of your sheets. But still I got some of your answers. Eketh samhara man correct kara, samhara correct kare naha. And others mata hambunewat naya electrochemistry tika. I asked you to practice some cells and send me. Eke evanna kiwwama ඒක ඔයගොල්ලන් opportunity එකක් විදිහට අරගෙන okay, so this is a good chance for me to practice this, because that's the whole point, right? That's why I ask you to do it. Otherwise මම මේ ටික කරලා මම නිකන් ඉන්න පුළුවන්. But එහෙම නෙවෙයි. Okay, so what can you, I always think, okay, you come to the class, you do this, but what can you do outside the class that will still that, you know, that will make sure that you are still going even out of the class, that you are studying and doing කියන එක. සහ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ what I understood from the previous class was that electrochemistry වලට ඔයගොල්ලන් දීලා තියෙන attention එක කොහොමද කියලා. Right, I was not very satisfied with that. That is why I asked you to do those cells and send me. මට හරියටම 5ක් විතර එවන්න නැති වුණා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ 5 දෙනෙක් විතර එවන්න නැති. With last night, yeah, 5 දෙනෙක් විතර එවන්න නැති. I did not receive it from others. Okay, so I'm not going to chase or force you. But දුන්නාම කරන එක is your responsibility. Okay. And also DP में बात අකුරු ටිකක් එක්ක join වෙලා ඉන්න කවුද? Can you rename yourself with your name? Okay. Consider the following features. Nucleus is present peripherally in the cytoplasm. Okay. Having spherical cells with a large central vacuole. No intercellular spaces. Of the above features, the features of the parenchyma tissue are. Yes, Yansilo, I received. Nucleus is present. Okay, parenchyma kuama nucleus is present peripherally කියන එක ඇත්ත නේ, because you know in parenchyma කියන normal permanent tissue එක, it's a simple permanent tissue, right? So if you take plant tissues plant tissues wala we mainly have meristematic and permanent. ළමයි මේ discussions යන අතරේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න. මොකද දැන් එන්නේ නැති ප්‍රශ්න තින් ආයේ කවදාවත් වැඩක් නැහැ, right? Because we only have a little more than 1 month. Permanent tissues wala we have simple permanent and complex permanent. Simple permanent wala we have 3 types as parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Complex permanent tissues wala we have 2 types as xylem and phloem. Xylem wala there are 4 types of cells as xylem vessel element, tracheids, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Phloem wala a sieve tube element, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. මෙහෙමනේ අපේ plant tissues breakdown එක තියෙන්නේ. So you know in meristematic tissues the nucleus is, there's a distinct nucleus. Samanya plant cells api ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා grade 10 වල. Vacuole is the one that takes up the most space, therefore nucleus will be pushed to the periphery in normal plant cells. However, meristematic cells are different. Meristematic cells වල nucleus එක තමයි මැදින්ම තියෙන්නේ. And ඒ වල intercellular spaces එහෙම නැහැ. Right? Chloroplast නැහැ. Because they don't do photosynthesis, rather they divide and produce new cells. For that they have a lot of mitochondria, right? However, when you come to permanent tissues, most of the permanent tissues are like normal plant cells. So yes, in normal plant cells, nucleus is present peripheral. මොකද වැඩිපුරම ලොකුවට තියෙන vacuole එක. Okay. Having spheric, therefore make a parenchyma වලටත් තියෙනවා. Right? Parenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. Having spherical cells with a large central vacuole, yes. Parenchyma වල isodiametric or spherical cells තියෙන කියලා අපි කිව්වා. And they have a large central vacuole. That is why the nucleus is pushed to the periphery. No intercellular spaces කියන එක වැරදි ළමයි, because parenchyma වල intercellular spaces හොඳට තියෙනවා. හොඳට කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් intercellular spaces තියෙනවා. So answer should be A and B. That is the first one, yes. On a table, next one, 33. On a table, a box is in equilibrium under 3 coplanar forces of 10, 15, and P newtons. The resultant of the two forces, 10 and 15, is 12. Consider the statements X, Y, Z regarding the force P. Okay, so we have 3 statements. Okay. Now here, when we talk about equilibrium, what is the answer you all put here? What is the answer you put here? Others? Okay, others? Now, when we say 3 coplanar forces, 3 coplanar forces කියවම අපි instances දෙකක් ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා. Okay. Let's say මෙහෙම object එකක් තියෙනවා. There are 3 coplanar forces, but they are not parallel. මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා. Parallel. Let's say like මෙහෙම picture එකක් hang කරා කියලා. For an example, or like whiteboard එකක් hang කරාදි වගේ මෙහෙම force එකක් තියෙනවා, මෙහෙම force එකක් තියෙනවා, මෙහෙම weight එක තියෙනවා. Right? Those are 3 coplanar forces but non-parallel. Then we have also learned 3 coplanar forces can exist parallelly as well. දෙපැත්තට force, I mean එක පැත්තක forces දෙකයි, අනිත් පැත්තට තව force එකයි. මේ විදිහට parallelly ඉන්නත් පුළුවන්, or මේ විදිහට non-parallelly ඉන්නත් පුළුවන්. If they were non-parallel, do you remember that the lines of action must meet at a common point? දැන් මේ force එකේ line of action එක මේකනේ. මේ force එකේ line of action එක මේක. මේ weight කියන force එකේ line of action එක මේක. You can see that these three forces meet at a common point. If it's three coplanar forces non-parallel, the lines of action of the three forces must meet at a common point. And also resultant of one force should be resultant of two forces should be equal to the third force, right? In parallel, forces force here also resultant of two forces should be equal to the third force. Okay. Result, now there are two forces as 10 and 15. Resultant 12. Okay. If we assume that this is make a parallel, let's say this is 10 Newton. Ten, 15 and P Newton. So 10, 15 අපි තුමු 10, 15 මේ දෙපැත්තේ තියෙන්නේ කියලා. So එයාගේ resultant එක 12 newtons and that 12 newtons should be this, no? Because your forces should be equal to the third force. If these were 10 and 15, this should be 12. So non-parallel අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් එකක් 10 එකක් 15 නම් අනිත් එක 12 කියලා, right? So then they are saying that 10, 15 P නේ. then මෙයා 10 මෙයා 15 නම් this is actually P. So P should be equal to 12 newtons, right? Do you understand that the first statement is correct? Because resultant of two forces should be equal to the third force. Okay? P acts in the direction of the resultant force of the two forces 10 and 15. 10 gave P acts in the direction of the resultant force of 10 and 15 newtons. 10 and 15 newtons ගත්තම ඒ දෙනගේ resultant force එක තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Right? මේ side එක. This is the resultant of 10 and 15. So P will be opposite to the resultant of 10 and 15. 10 and 15 දෙන්නගේ resultant එක මෙහෙම මැදින් තියෙනවා නම් එයාගේ opposite එකට තමයි P තියෙන්නේ. So P acts in the direction of the resultant force of the 2 newtons 10 and 15 come වැරදි. P acts in the direction opposite to the direction of the resultant force of 10 and 15. Even here it's the same. දැන් මම lines of action ටික පොඩ්ඩක් erase කරන්නම් to show you clearly. Let's say this was 10 newtons. Let's say this is the 10 Newton force. And let's say this is the 15 Newton force. මේ දෙන්න මෙහෙමනේ යන්නේ. ඒතර එදරගේ resultant එක is somewhere in the middle. This would be most probably the resultant. And P, which is other one, should be opposite to the resultant force. Forces දෙකක resultant එකට opposite direction එකේ තමයි P again අනිත් force එක ඉන්න ඕනේ. If it is in equilibrium. So එතකොට y should be wrong. Is that the line of action of P goes through the intersecting point of the lines of action of the two forces 10 and 15. The line of action of P goes through the intersecting point of the lines of action of the two forces 10 and 15. If you take parallel situation, parallel will 10 and 15 intersect with නෑ ළමයි. So what they're saying is line of action of P goes through the intersecting points of lines of action of 10 and 15. Again, 10 and 15 the lines of action intersect when a තැනින් P යනවා. එහෙනම් මේ කතා කරන්නේ parallel එක නෙවෙයි non-parallel එක. Okay. Because in the non-parallel one, let me erase the resultant part. මං කිව්වා වගේ, now this is the line of action of the 10 Newton force. This is the line of action of the 15 Newton force. Then resultant is W, no? Made in line of action of W. That is, I mean, in our case, it's P. So, true, that is correct. Because may forces then not intersect with a point again, P can force a therefore, Z is correct. And X and Z are correct. So, it's a third answer. Did you all understand this? Please give me a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, let's quickly move on. 14th and 15th lessons is hydrocarbons and biosphere, right? I will send those this Hindi. Ekata mamkiwe weekend deke I'm not sure because today is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday, but Monday, Tuesday dawasdeke edeka mang aniwaran evanna. Because I partially recorded, but I couldn't fully record the last week. But I will definitely send. Monday, Tuesday dawasdeke I will send. Okay. Okay. So an organism has the following features. Next one, 34. අන්තිකලම ඔයගොල්ලන් ඔයගොල්ලන් දාපු messages වල replies ඇවිල්ලා නැත්නම් ඒ chat එකට dot එකක් දාන්න because from Thursday onwards ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මට වඩා වෙන කෙනෙක් නම් WhatsApp එක බලන්නේ and she will manage everything, right? So this time it will properly happen. ඒකින්ද most probably your messages most probably නෙවෙයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ messages miss වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකින්ද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කලින් දාපු miss වෙච්ච ඒවා තියෙනවා නම් recordings request කරපු ඒවා I don't know any like මොන හරි notes ඉල්ලපු ඒවා තියෙනවා නම් questions අහපු ඒවා තියෙනවා නම් පොඩක් ඒ ටික ආයෙ දාන්න. Okay, yeah, I will explain after we do this one. මේකේ 40th එකට ආවම චුට්ටක් මතක් කරන්නකෝ 8th question. An organism has the following features. Consisting of eukaryotic cells, has the ability to decompose organic matter, presence of chitin in the cell wall. Chitin in the cell wall කියපු ගමන් මාරම ලේසි අපිට තේරුම් ගන්න කවුද මේ? කාටද chitin in the cell wall තියෙන්නේ? Fungi. Cell wall එකක් තියෙන්නේ කාටද? Fungi and plant they both have cell wall. But chitin in the cell wall, that is definitely fungi because plant වල cell wall එකේ තියෙන cellulose. Chitin තව තැනක තියෙනවා. කොතනද chitin තව තියෙන්නේ? Where else can you find chitin, lamai? Okay. More specific? Okay, arthropoda. Arthropoda के खुद කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? Chitin. Exoskeleton. Arthropoda ලාගේ exoskeleton එක හැදලා තියෙන chitin වලින්. Right? But cell wall එකේ chitin කොහොමද? That is fungi. Now, what are like some useful like uses of fungi? What are some uses of fungi? What are some uses of fungi? Decomposition, yes, has the ability to decompose organic matter. Fungi විතරක් නෙවෙයි අතර fungi and bacteria දෙන්නම decomposition වලට උදව් කරනවා. So when a plant or an animal dies, if that body stays forever, it's going to be a problem. But all of these organic matter, they will be decomposed. So that decomposition part is done by fungi and bacteria. What else are the uses of fungi? Yes, production of antibiotics. One second. Okay, so yes, I got some other answers. Antibiotics, for the production of antibiotics like penicillium වලින් එහෙම හදනවා. Then bread and alcohol fermentation, good. Because you know ගොඩක් වෙලාවට bread and alcohol fermentation වලට use කරනවා yeast. Then production of medicine, yes, antibiotics. Yes, okay. What are the harmful effects of fungi? What are the harmful effects of fungi? Spoilage of food. Again, lamai, there are a useful feature. We said decomposition of organic matter that is done by fungi and bacteria. Even food spoilage, which is a harmful effect, that is also done by fungi and bacteria. Yes, lamai, causing diseases, that is also done by fungi. Okay. Then we'll move on to the rest of the questions. 35 indang 37 වෙනකන් ටික මම බෝඩ් එකට ගන්නම්. Up to this point, did you understand, lamai? Give me a thumbs up if you understood everything. Past paper discussions පුළුවන් තරම් miss කරන්න එපා. miss වුණොත් ඒව recording එක හරි බලන්න. මොකද ඒ වෙලේ අහන් ඉන්න එක හරි මේ අන්තිම කාලේ අහන් එන ටික හරි ඔලුවට යනවා. right? එතකොට මේවා MCQs වල same MCQ will not be repeated of course, but there is a certain pattern. ගොඩක් අර past paper discussion එක actively අහන් ඉන්නවා නම් actively එකට participate කරනවා නම් ඒ ඔලුවට යන ටික උගන්න ගොඩක් දුරට when you are writing the MCQ O level MCQ paper උගන්න ඔලුවේ එක රැඳෙනවා. Right. So mostly like when you're writing answers, the papers are not designed in a random way. There is a certain psychology behind it, right? In the past paper, psychology but don't miss the revisions. Even if you miss, recording ka balahari ka recover karaganda mone. Ekai manke past paper revisions miss vechewa tiyenawa na අනිවාර්ය recording කිල්ල because I think last week මොකුත් මම extra classes දැම්මේ නැහැ. But ඊට කලින් week එක අපේ Monday morning class එකක් තිබ්බා, Friday morning class එකක් තිබ්බනේ. So ඒකට ආපු නැති අය recordings අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉල්ල ගන්න. What is called an antacid? So I have a question. What is called an antacid? Antacid කියලා කියන්නේ anti-acid කියන එක තමයි shorten කරලා antacid කියලා කියන්නේ. So antacid is something that is opposite of an acid. Anti කියන්නේ opposite කියන එකනේ. So acid is something that is, antacid is something opposite to acid. So most of the time as an anti-acid, what we use is a base. Because you know acids and bases have opposite properties. For an example, let's say you have gastritis. Gastritis වලටත් වඩා gastritis වල එක part එකක් තමයි acidity, right? Stomach එකේ acidity වැඩි. So stomach එකේ acidity වැඩි වුණාම you feel like අර නිකන් acidic ගතිය, acidic reflux වගේ දැනෙනවා. Ethokot what you do is you have different tablets, milk of magnesia or any other tablet or medicine. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒ වල තියෙන antacid. Antacid කියලා කියන්නේ අර acid එකත් එක්ක fight කරලා ඒ acidic ගතිය neutral කරන්න පුළුවන් එක්කනේ. That means opposite to acid කියන එක. So most of the time you know what is opposite to an acid, it's a base. So most of the time as an antacid we use a base. Okay, Situki? Situki, is it clear? Okay. A sound wave, 35th question. The sound wave obtained by tapping a drum softly was observed in the cathode ray oscilloscope as in figure 8. Which of the following could be the waveform that is obtained when the drum is tapped with a larger force than the above instance? Hari. When you take sound, there are three properties of sounds. What are they? There are three properties of sounds. What are they? What are the three properties of sounds? Okay. Okay, yes. Yeah. Correct. Good. We have pitch. Pitch depends on what? Pitch depends on which physical quantity? Frequency. Then we have loudness. Loudness depends on which physical quantity? Loudness depends on which physical quantity? Amplitude. Then we have quality of sound. Quality of sound depends on which physical quantity? Yes, the wave pattern or the shape of the wave, right? The shape of the wave or wave pattern. or waveform කියලා අපි කියනවා එකට. If you look at this one, මේ ඇවිල්ලා drum එකක sound එකක් නේ. drum එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම drum is a percussion instrument, right? So ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔයා එකම තැනට දැන් let's say if it's the same drum අර එයාව මේ මොනවද tight වටේට tight කරනවානේ අපි membrane එක. එතකොට එකම tightness එක නම් තියෙන්නේ pitch would be the same because unlike like let's say the piano or the guitar or violin or whatever, there are different notes that you can play. On the drum there are no like specific notes that you can play on a drum unless I mean you can sometimes change the sound by tightening or loosening the membrane. අර දෙපැත්තේ අපිට තද කරන්න පුළුවන් membrane එක. ඒක තද කරාම loose කරාම sound එක වෙනස් වෙනවා, but still if you take one drum there's a consistent pitch. ඒක තමයි pitch එක ගැන වැඩි කතා කරන්න බෑ මෙතන. Because ලොකුට frequency වෙනස් වෙන different notes එහෙම drum එකේ නැහැ. Right, drum is a drum. So අපි ඒක pitch අමතක කරමු. So මේක drum එකකින් play කරන sound එකක් අපිට අහන්න කියන්නේ drum එකේ. So we are saying initially the drum is tapped softly, next the drum is tapped with a larger force. In both the instances it is the drum. එකම instrument එක. ඒක හින්දා will the waveform change? Will the shape of the wave change? Softly tap කරේ drum එකකට, large force එකකින් tap කරන්නේ drum එකකට. In both instances it is the same drum. Will the shape of the wave change? Okay, I got one answer. What about others? Will the shape of the wave change? No. Because lamai, shape of the wave depends on that particular instrument. Piano එකක තියෙන වෙනම shape එකක්, drum එකක වෙනම එකක්, violin එකක වෙනම එකක්. ඒක මොන note එක play කරත් shape එක ඒ විදියට. The note or the frequency will determine certain other things like wavelength RMA, but I'm talking about the shape of the wave only. එක instrument එකක් ගත්තොත් usually it has like a certain pattern. ඒකින්ද pattern එක වෙනස් වෙන්න බෑ. Right? Pattern එක වෙනස් වෙන්නත් බෑ. කියන්නේ quality of sound උත් එක වෙන්න ඕනේ, pitch එකත් එකයි. So you know pitch is frequency, right? ඔගාන මතකද අපි මෙන්න මෙහෙම ඉගෙන ගත්තා. Speed of sound equals f lambda කියලා. Do you remember talking about something like this? Yes or no? Yes. This is speed of sound and you know speed of sound doesn't change. Speed of sound එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් air වල නම් එකම speed of sound, water වල නම් එකම, solid එකක් නම් වෙනම. ඒ වගේ if you take the atmosphere generally it won't change. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? frequency වැඩි වුණොත් wavelength අඩු වෙනවා. frequency අඩු වුණොත් wavelength වැඩි වෙනවා. So frequency and wavelength they have a connection. Frequency and wavelength have a connection, okay? So frequency and wavelength have a connection, a relationship, right? Relationship කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? frequency වැඩි වුණොත් wavelength එක අඩුයි, frequency අඩු වුණොත් wavelength එක වැඩි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතකයිද in electromagnetic spectrum radio waves ඉඳන් microwaves, infrared waves, visible region, UV, X-ray, gamma එහෙම යනකොට එන්න frequency වැඩි වෙනවා. Radio waves වලට වඩා gamma rays වල frequency ගොඩාක් වැඩි. At the same time wavelength අඩු වෙනවා. Frequency වැඩි වෙනකොට wavelength අඩු වෙනවා හැම වෙලේම. At the same time frequency අඩු වෙනකොට wavelength වැඩි වෙනවා. So here since it's the same drum, same pitch, මෙයාගේ frequency එකම තමයි මේගොල්ලන්ටත් තියෙන්නේ. Softly tap කරාම එන frequency එකම තමයි large force එකකින් tap කරත් එන්නේ. So frequency is the same means wavelength should also be the same. ඒකෙන් අපි නම් wavelength ගැන පොඩි idea එකක් අරන් බලමු. මොනවාද වෙන මේකේ wavelength එක වැඩි වගේ නේ. So fourth එක අපිට අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. What about others? මෙයාගේ wavelength එක වැඩි නේද second එක්කෙනාගේ? Second and fourth අපිට අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන් මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ wavelength එක වැඩි. නේද ළමයි? Can you see that? ඔයගොල්ලෝ paper එකේ බලන්න හොඳට. බලන්න මෙන්න මේක ඇවිල්ලා let's say this would be like one wavelength. This is the length of one. One second. So this is the length of one wave. But if you look at this one, මෙතන A length එකම නෙවෙයි තියෙන්නේ. So fourth එකේ wavelength එක වෙනස්. Fourth එක we cannot take because of that. Third එක නම් ඔන්න එකම wavelength එක තියෙන්නේ නේ. අපි softly tap කරාම තියෙන wavelength එකම තමයි third එකේ තියෙන්නේ. If we take the second one, again wavelength එක වැඩි. එහෙනම් fourth එක ගන්නත් බෑ, second එක ගන්නත් බෑ. Let's try the first one. First one එක නම් same wavelength. Okay. So second and fourth ගන්න බෑ, but first and third are possible. Did you understand that part? Thumbs up if you understood. Okay, so how did we say? Quality of sound depends on the wave shape of the wave. හැමෝගෙම shape එක හින්දා අපිට එක ගැන එකේ we can't get an answer. Then pitch is frequency. Drum එකේ අපිට different pitches play කරන්න බෑ. So it will be the same frequency එක අපිට shape එකෙන් ගන්න බෑනේ. So we will have to take, okay, frequency and wavelength are almost similar because frequency වැඩි වෙනකොට wavelength අඩු වෙනවා. Frequency අඩු වෙනකොට wavelength වැඩි වෙනවා. If frequency doesn't change, wavelength also doesn't change. එහෙනම් මෙයාගේ wavelength එක මේගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්න ඕනේ. First එකටයි third එකටයි same wavelength තියෙනවා. Right? මෙයාගේ wavelength එකම තමයි මෙයාටයි third එකටයි තියෙන්නේ. And we have to say, okay, if it's a larger force, what can you say about the amplitude or the loudness? If it's a larger force, what can you say about the? Yes. අපි හයියෙන් ගහනවා කියන්නේ loudness එක වැඩි. Loudness එක වැඩි කියන්නේ amplitude එක වැඩි. Amplitude is කියන්නේ මැද තැන ඉඳන් කොච්චර උඩට පල්ලෙහාට යනවද කියන එක. If you take this one, wavelength එක එක්ක උනාට බලන්න මේ අපේ softly tap කරන එකට වඩා මෙයාගේ amplitude එක අඩුයි. Third එක අපිට ගන්න බෑ. Wavelength is the same of course, but loudness is less. However, first එක wavelength උත් හරි, but amplitude is also high. Therefore, first one should be the answer. Is that clear to all of you, Lamai? Okay. Next one, 36. The child of mass 40 kg walked along a staircase from the first floor to the third floor of a building which is 9 meters high from the first floor. එතකොට ළමයෙක් මෙම first floor ඉඳන් third floor එකට යනවා. So this is the first floor, this is the third floor. එතකොට first floor ඉඳන් 9 meters height එකක් තියෙනවා third floor එකට. The time taken by the child for this entire motion is 2 minutes. What is the rate of doing work? So you know, මෙතන work done එක ගනිද්දී work done means force multiplied by the distance in the direction of the force. මෙයාගේ force එකට අපි ගන්නේ weight එකනේ. So මෙයාගේ mass එක 40 kg. මෙයාගේ mass එක 40 kg. We multiply by the gravitational acceleration, so the weight will be 400 newtons. Multiplied by මේ යන දුර නෙවෙයි අපි ගන්නේ කොච්චර මෙන්න මේ පැත්තට distance එකක් තියනවද කියලා. So we take 9 meters, right? 9 meters, 9 meters, yes. So that would be 3,600 joules. Then rate of doing work. What is the other word for rate of doing work? Rate of doing work is not energy. Rate of doing work වලට කියන නම මොකක්ද? Okay, others? It is power. Power කියන්නේ work done divided by time. So work done is 3,600. Time is 2 minutes. You have to multiply by 60 to get it in seconds. So when we simplify, make 0, 0 kapanava, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Then that would be 30 watt. 30 watt answer ka තියෙනවා නේ. 30 watt, which will be the first one, first answer. Is that clear, lamai? Yes. 37. Test tube with the glass tube given in the figure is immersed in a vessel with water and heated for a small period of time. 3 statements regarding the observations of this experiment are given below. The water level in the glass tube rises up gradually from B and stops. Drops down gradually from B and stops. Drops down and then rises up. Which one is the correct answer? Is that is true? Remember, when we heat, we are heating it for a small period of time. When we heat it, you know, solids expand, liquids expand, gases also expand. මුලින්ම මේකේ මේ වටේ තියෙන test tube එක expand වෙනවා. Test tube එක expand වෙනවා because test tube is a solid. Test tube එක expand වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඇතුලේ space එක හැදෙනවානේ. ඇතුලේ වැඩිපුර space එක හැදෙන හින්දා මෙන්න මේ B වල තියෙන water ටික ඒ level එක drop වෙනවා. Inside there will be more space created. ඒකින්ද මේ water level එක අඩු වෙනවා. And then only the water inside will start to expand at a faster rate. එතකොට ආයමත් මෙයා මෙන්න මේ වැඩි වෙනවා. First the test tube, the glass test tube will expand first. Therefore, it will create more space and the water level will go down. And then the liquid inside will start to expand properly and then it will go up again. That therefore is true. The last 3 questions. (38) The information relevant to the motion of an object in a straight line is given below. Time, displacement, okay. Which of the following statements is correct according to the above information? The object has moved at a uniform velocity. මේක ඔයගලන්ට graph එකක් අන්දාම පැටලෙන්න පුළුවන්. graph එකක් නෙවෙයි මේ විදිහට table එකක් තිබ්බම පැටලෙන්න පුළුවන්. So best thing would be to like sketch a quick graph. Displacement time. When time is 0, displacement is also 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seconds නේ තියෙන්නේ නේ. So first second එකේදී 4, second එකේදී 8 වෙනවා. So මෙහෙම 4, 8. Here the displacement is 4. Here it is 8. Then මෙතන 10. I hope it's clear. Here this is 10. Then what happens? 4th okay, 14. Sorry, wait. This is 14. 5th එක 16. 5th එක 16. Like this. 6th එක 18. 18. Just a rough sketch, okay? Just a rough sketch. The object has moved at a uniform velocity during the total period of time. Do you think it has moved at uniform velocity? What do you think? Has it moved at uniform velocity? No. බලන්න මෙතන බැලුවම ළමයි මෙතන මේ වගේ ගිහිල්ලා ආයි මෙතන වෙන gradient එකක් ආයි මෙතන වෙන gradient එකක් ආයි මෙතන වෙන gradient එකක් if in a displacement time graph, the gradient gives the velocity. If it was uniform velocity, the gradient has to be constant. Like a kelima line එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි එහෙම නෑ කියන්නේ the first answer is wrong. First statement is wrong. They're asking us the correct statement. Eh? Yeah. The mean velocity of the object is 3 ms minus 1 during the entire motion. මේ වගේ එකක් දුයිලා mean velocity හොයන්න කිව්වම you know how to get mean velocity equals කොහොමද ගන්නෙ? Mean velocity equals total displacement divided by total time. Here, total displacement අපි ගත්තොත් එම 4, 8, 10, 14, 16 ඔහොම ගිහලා 18 is a total displacement, right? 8 is a total displacement. Total time is 6 seconds. So 18 divided by 6 is 3 ms minus 1. Seems like that statement is correct, no? ඒගොල්ලන් කියනවානේ the mean velocity is 3 ms minus 1 කියලා. Seems like it is correct, but just in case අපි අනිත් ඒවාත් බලමු. The object has come again to the starting position. So this is wrong. Why is it wrong? If the object came back to the starting position, what can you see? If the object came back to the starting position, what would you able to see? Displacement එකට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Deceleration කියන්නේ බෑ. Deceleration කියන්නේ අපිට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් only in a velocity time graph. This is a displacement time graph. My question is, in this displacement time table, if the object came back to the starting position, what would be the displacement value? Yes, Yara. What would be the displacement value if the object came back to the starting position? Anita? Come on, Lamai. The question is, here, if the object came back to the starting position, what will happen to the displacement value? If the object came back to the starting position, what will happen to the displacement value? No. Not increasing. Yeah. Becomes 0. Displacement is the shortest distance between the starting point and the ending point. So if the person comes back to the starting position, starting point එකයි ending point එක අතර distance එකක් නැහැ, then it's 0. So if the displacement becomes 0 again, we can say that the person or the object has come back to the starting position. Otherwise, we cannot say that. Total distance traversed is 17 meters. No. මෙතන බලද්දි displacement එකම තමයි distance එක නේ. මෙයා මෙතන 8 meters ගිහිල්ලා මෙතන 10 ගිහිල්ලා මෙතන 14, 16, 18. So the total distance also is 18 meters. That is also wrong. And yes, the second one is the correct answer. 39. A straight conductor AB which carries current I is kept in a magnetic field. The direction of the magnetic field is perpendicular to the direction of the flow of current. The straight conductor AB carries current, carrying current. Okay, මෙහෙම AB කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. AB කියලා conductor එකක්, it is carrying a current I. Kept in a magnetic field, the direction of the magnetic field is perpendicular to the direction of the flow of current. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ perpendicular මෙන්න මේ විදිහට හරි කොයි පැත්තට හරි යනවා. Direction එක අපි හරියටම දන්නේ නැහැ. What we know is it that the magnetic field is perpendicular. Consider the changes done separately in situations X and Y given below. Which of the following statements is correct regarding the magnetic force that acts on AB in two situations? Increasing current up to force එක තමයි අහන්නේ. ඔයගලන් දන්නවා using Fleming's left hand rule, when the when the index finger is directed in the direction of the magnetic field, middle finger shows the direction of the current. You can use the thumb to show the direction of the force. So මේ magnetic force කියලා කියන්නේ force එක. current carrying conduct එකක් magnetic field එකේ තියෙද්දි හැමලෙම force එකක් generate වෙනවා. ඒ force එක හොයන්න තමයි Fleming's left hand rule is there. So when we increase the current up to 2I without changing the magnetic field, will the magnetic force increase or decrease? ඔයගොල්ලන් හිතන්නේ මොකක් වේද? ළමයි, this magnetic force, අපි thumb එකෙන් පෙන්නන magnetic force එක, this depends on the magnetic field and the current. අපි current එක වැඩි කරාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? magnetic force එකත් වැඩි වෙනවා. අපි magnetic field එකේ strength එක වැඩි කරොත් ඒත් force එක වැඩි වෙනවා. In situation Y, what we do is we decrease the strength of the magnetic field while keeping current as I. When we decrease the strength of the magnetic field, the magnetic force will decrease. Because ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ note එකක් හරි එතන හරි දාගන්න එතන හරි magnetic force කියන්නේ force එකම තමයි. Depends on the current and the magnetic strength of the magnetic field. Okay. So if the current increases, magnetic force will increase. If the strength of the magnetic field increases, magnetic force increases. Then අඩු වුණොත් magnetic force එක අඩු වෙනවා. So therefore, first one is the right answer. Ne? First, X එකේ විතරයි වැඩි වෙන්නේ, Y එකේ අඩු වෙනවා. Is that clear? Give me a thumbs up, please. Okay. 40. Consider the following. 40 එක චුට්ටක් තියමු. Answer එක දාගන්න. What is the question? Which of the following the important activities for sustainable development of Sri Lanka energy? That would be the fourth one. Make an answer එක දාලා round කරලා තියන්න. Now I think you can get your answers. Okay, කොච්චරක් තියනවද කියලා අපි කීයක් skip කරාද? 1 2 We only skipped 2 questions, no? Yeah. Out of 38, what are your marks? Now, there are 15 of you. I need to find, ask all of you. Okay, Manisha. Yes. Let's discuss now. Metan, out of 38, then we'll discuss. Okay, Dusindi. Okay, Situki. Okay, Onelka. Okay, Ansilu. Hatra dinai kiwe. There's 11 of you all left. We have to move on to the next one. Okay, Nudam. Yes, Vihara. Yes, Imasha. Okay, Yara. Okay, Pamodi. Tinuli, Ashwini. කවුද මේ DPGXZ එකෙන් join උනේ? Can you rename? මර නම දන්න නැතුණා මරි අමාරුයි. I need to know your name. You can at least let me know in the chat box what your name is. එතකොට මම හරි මේ පැත්තේ rename කරන්න. හරි, okay. So while others give your marks, what I have to tell you is then we are doing the 2017 and now we are moving to 2018 one. Make it a 32 or above තියෙන්න ඕනේ. හරිනම් MCQ එකකට 34 or above තියෙන්න ඕනේ. but අපිට questions දෙකක් skip කරානේ. ඒක හින්දා මේකට 32 or above marks තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම marks නැති කට්ටිය and ඒකට වඩා තිබ්බත් ඔක්කොම හැමෝගෙම හරි නෑනේ. So ඔයගලන්ට අඩුවෙන් marks හම්බෙච්ච okay. Shanush okay. අඩුවෙන් marks හම්බෙච්ච කියන්නේ වැරදිච්ච questions ඔක්කොම ඊට අදාළව revise කරගන්න ළමයි. Yeah, it's very important. In 2017 then after that අපි biosphere question එක කරේ නැහැ. Are there any other questions that we skipped in this paper? Biosphere part එකයි biosphere is the first question නේ. First question එකයි 6th එකේ A එකයි අපි කරේ නැහැ because this is biosphere and hydrocarbons. But have we done everything else? Apart from the first question in structured and 6th A part in essay, have we done everything else? Can somebody quickly check and tell me? Regular attendance තිබ්බ කට්ටියට කාටද කියන්න පුළුවන් මට? Done. No, everything else is done. Okay. 2018 වලත් මම ඔයාලට මුළු පේපර් එකම කරන්න කියලා කිව්වා including the MCQ, so we will go to 2018. So මම ඔයාලට homework විදියට දාලා තියෙන්නේ මම මනිෂට එදා එවන්න කිව්වේ 2018 full paper, 2019 full paper and 2020 full paper, okay? Okay. So we will go to 2018 MCQ. Before that, the Western Province 8th question. Sorry, I almost forgot. That's how much of a memory I have actually. Where's the paper? All right, okay. Western Province paper එකත් අපි discuss කරමු. ඒ කියන්නේ හැමෝම එක්ක කරන් එන්න. This question, the 8th question නේද යාරා? 8th MCQ. MCQ එක discuss කරමු අපි. Okay. So, the unit used to measure pressure කියන එක නේ? Okay. මේකේ මේ ළමයාගේ answer එක නම් වැරදි. නෑ. Okay. ඒක වැරදි යාර. The unit used to measure pressure is Pascal. Which of the following is equal to this? You know pressure equals force divided by area. Right? You know force divided by area තමයි pressure කියන්නේ. Force වල unit එක මොකක්ද? Newtons. Area වල unit එක square meters. එතකොට that would be newtons per square meter. Newtons per square meter. So we know pressure වල එක unit එකක් තමයි pascals. But Pascal මොකටද equal කියලානේ අහන්නේ. So that is equal to newtons per square meter. However, මෙතන answers වල එක දීලා නැහැ. That means we have to go a step further, right? Newtons ගැන මුලින්ම අපි කතා කරමු. Newtons කියන්නේ F equals ma. Force අපි calculate කරන්නේ F equals ma. So we know force එකේ unit එක newtons, yes. But අපි මේවත් එක හරියට බැලුවොත් mass වල unit එක kg. Acceleration වල unit එක ms minus 2. So this is the unit of force is newtons, that is the standard unit. However, kg ms minus 2 is also another unit of force. Then mama ආයමත් pressure ගන්න. P equals FA. Now here, instead of putting newtons for the unit of force, I'm using this for the unit of force, kg ms minus 2. And area, you know, square meters. Then අපි බැලුවොත් here, මෙතන m එකකට මෙතන m දෙකෙන් එකක් කැපෙනවා. So there are 2m in the denominator, 1m in the numerator. Denominator දෙකෙන් එකක් කැපෙනවා. So that would be here kg. මේ m එක උඩට ගෙනිච්චාම දැන් මෙතන 1 නේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒක උඩට ගෙනිච්චාම it becomes m minus 1. මෙතන s කොහොමද තියෙනවා s minus 2. So that would be another unit of pressure. kg m minus 1 s minus 2. මේවා memorize කරන්න යන්න එපා. ඒ වෙලේට equations use කරලා equation play එකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. You have to use the equation and find the units. Is it clear lamai? Others is it clear? Okay, Yara. It's a third one. Okay. Western province එක මම ඒවලා තියෙන එක ළමයා කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ කියන්නේ answer sheet එක ලියපු එකක් but ඒක ඔයගොල්ලන් තනියෙන් කරන්න try කරන්න. එතකොට you can see මේ ළමයා හරි එකද දාලා තියෙන වැරදි එකද කියලා ඒ වගේ as if you are marking the paper අන්න ඒ විදිහට attempt කරන්න. You want me to do the 38th question, Situki? 38th. Okay. I'll make an edit. Okay. Okay, let's see. The figure shows two parallel copper conductors. Two parallel copper conductors PQ. PQ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙයා. PQ කියන්නේ මෙයා. Then there's also RS, which is this. AB is another copper conductor kept perpendicular to them on top. AB ඉන්නේ මේ PQ ටයි RS ටයි perpendicular. Terminals of 6 volt direct current supply are connected to terminals P and R. A magnetic field is applied from north direction to the south direction. මෙතන මේක මේ අර 2D නේ අඳලා තියෙන so සමහරට ඔයගොල්ලන් පැටලෙන්න පුළුවන් but PQ ඉන්නේ මෙහෙම ඒගොල්ලන්ට perpendicularly AB තියෙනවා ඒකට perpendicularly magnetic field එක තියෙනවා. Okay, so all of these are perpendicular to each other. Which one is false? When current flows through the circuit, the conductor rod AB rolls to the left. Okay, we'll see. So here, let me take a different color. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ plus. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ minus. So current එක කොහොමද යන්නේ? Plus ඉඳන් minus නේ current එක යන්නේ. So I. මම මේ blue වලින් mark කරන්නේ current flow එක. මෙහෙම යනවා. Here මෙහෙම current එක යනවා. And then මෙතනට ඇවිල්ලා මෙහෙට යන්නේ නැහැ because මෙතන ඉන්න connect වෙන්නේ. So B ඉඳන් A පැත්තට තමයි current එක එන්නේ. And then එතනින් A ට ඇවිල්ලා එතනින් මෙහෙම ගිහිල්ලා this is how current go. So මම ඒක ඔයගලන්ට මෙන්න මේ විදිහට highlight කරලා පෙන්නනවා this is the path of the current. Because මේ AB කියන rod එකෙන් conductor එකෙන් තමයි connect වෙන්නේ circuit එක. This is the path of the current. Is that clear to all of you? Path of the current, is it clear? Everybody? මෙන්න මෙහෙම. This is the path of the current. Okay. එතකොට here of course we have to use Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule. B ඉඳන් A ට තමයි current එක එන්නේ. So middle finger එක එන්නේ මගේ පැත්තට වගේ. B to A means නිකන් මගේ පැත්තට එනවා වගේ. Right? Then magnetic field එක තියෙන්නේ උඩට. B to A current, middle finger, magnetic field එක උඩට. That means index finger should be pointed upwards. Then thumb is pointing towards this side. This side, right? A කියන්නේ BA කියන එක්කෙනා left side එකට නේද roll වෙන්නේ. When current flows through the circuit, the conductor AB rolls to the left. Therefore, this first answer should be the right answer. Let's try again. බලන්න current එක මෙන්න මෙහෙම ගිහිල්ලා from B to A only current goes from B to A. So එතකොට මට force එකේ direction එක හොයාගන්න ඕනේ because force එකේ direction එක තියෙන පැත්තට තමයි AB roll වෙන්නේ. Right? So if I want to find the direction of the force, I have to use Fleming's left hand rule. I take my left hand, perpendicularly fingers තුන arrange කරගන්නවා magnetic field එක උඩට. Magnetic field එක උඩට current එක B to A. B to A කියන්නේ නිකන් මගේ මූල පැත්තට එනවා වගේ. Right? එතකොට thumb is pointed towards this way, that is the left side. Right? And that is the first answer. Did you all understand that? Situki, is it clear? And others also give me a thumbs up if you understood. Okay. Next week, එනකොට හැමෝම Western Province එකත් attempt කරගෙන එන්න. එතකොට අපි questions discuss කරමු. එතකොට ඕගලන් මේ ළමයා answer කරපු හැම එකක්ම ඕගලන්ට දාන්න බෑ. ඕගලන් බලන්න. මොකක්ද හරි answer එක. So හරියට නිකන් මේ student එක correct කරනවා වගේ. මෙයාගේ correct කරනවා ඔයා හරියට දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. මේක හරිද වැරදි නම් what is the correct answer? අර ඒ වගේ බලන්න. Okay? Okay. Now 2018 paper. The rest of it we will discuss definitely in a coming week. We're going to try to balance the paper. 2018. දැන් අපිට තව ටිකක් ස්පීඩ් එක වැඩි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද ගොඩක් sections අපි මේ විදිහට revise කරලා තියෙනවා, right? In the past paper revision we have revised a lot. එහෙම revise වැඩි touch වෙච්ච නැතිව විතරක් මම වැඩිපුර time එකක් කරන් revise කරනවා. But the rest of it I don't have any plans of taking extra time and revising again the same things that we have already revised a few times. Okay. This is the 2018 paper. Cyclospinus කලින් තිබ්බනේ. Yeah. Anyways, which of the following is an example for a plant which does not produce seeds? What is the answer? Okay. You know, plants in kingdom plant, we can divide them into two as non-flowering plants and flowering plants, which are angiosperms. Non-flowering plants වල seeds නැති කට ඉන්නවා, seeds තියෙන කට ඉන්නවා. Seeds නැති කට Marcantia, Pogonatum, Selaginella, Nephrolepis, Acrosticum, Salvinia, right? Therefore, no seeds come, it is Salvinia. Then if you take non-flowering seed deva, example, Cycas and Pinus. Then angiosperms lage, that means flowering plants, we can divide it into two as monocots and dicots. Mang a classification ka earlier na mang tin madda liye le pavela tiyene. I think we wrote that several times already. Blue water lily is actually dicot. Ona ek ogala liya ganna koyare, because this is a discussion, extra things you can write somewhere. This blue water lily, that is a dicot. ඒක දැනගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ මේක සල්මිනා දැක්කම ඔයගන්ට අන්ලයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්, but just in case. The SI unit of force in fundamental units. මේක දැන් අපි කතා කරපු එක. So you know force equals MA. F equals MA. Mass is measured in kg, acceleration is measured in ms minus 2. So that would be kg ms minus 2. That's the first one. Then Parakwela join with Katya. I was telling the others that we have some extra classes scheduled. 12th is Monday. 12th Monday ka මම පොඩ හටම confirm කරලා කියන්නම්. 12th Monday ka අනිත් එක තියෙන්නේ 14th Wednesday. අනිත් එක තියෙන්නේ 16th Friday. ඔක්කොම 7 to 10 AM. 7 to 9:30 or 10 AM. Because all of you wanted to start at 7, only Nudam wanted to start at 6:30, which is good. Anita kammali gamata 7 කියලා කිව්වා. I also would actually, I wouldn't mind any time. But if you say 7, okay, we'll go with 7. 12th එක මම confirm කරනවා but 14th Wednesday and 16 okay Yansina says 6 එහෙනම් 6 වල පටන් ගන්නවා I mean ඊට පස්සේ කියන්න බෑ okay time එක ටිකක් අඩු කරමුද අපි 6:30 කරමුද 6 will maybe a bit too much because I also have to wake up just like you to do the class අපි එකක් class එකක් 7 කරමු ඊට පස්සේ අපි 6:30 කරන්න try එකක් දෙමු මොකද උදේ හැරෙන එක දැන් මේ කාලේ උගල උදේ හැරෙන කවුලක් නැහැ නේ these are like the last few days before the exam so you can wake up early yes exactly that's what I was thinking එකක් අපි කරමු 7 ඊට පස්සේ අපි එදාට බලමු කොහොමද කියලා I mean for this class also you have to wake up at 7 නේ බලලා අපි 6:30 වගේ කරමු 6 නම් බෑ මටත් බෑ because I work late into the night so උදේට හැරෙන්න පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි okay which of the following is a homogeneous mixture wheat flour and water of course is heterogeneous right පාන් පිටි හොඳට වතුර දිය වෙන්නේ it's just a mixture homogeneous mixture කියන්නේ solution එකක් right in a homogeneous mixture you know the composition is similar like color density transparency ඔක්කොම හැමතැනම එකම විදිහට තියෙන්න ඕනේ but wheat flour water වල එහෙම නැහැ coconut oil and water clay and water again they're heterogeneous mixture so it's ethyl alcohol and water yes ethyl alcohol and water because you know ethyl alcohol is a alcoholic beverages එහෙම බොනකොට සමහර වෙලාවට water එක්ක mix කරනවානේ so that is because they mix really well okay ethyl alcohol is a liquid water is a liquid so it's a liquid homogeneous mixture wheat flour solid water solid it's a solid liquid heterogeneous mixture coconut oil is liquid water is liquid it's a liquid heterogeneous mixture clay is solid water is liquid it's a solid liquid heterogeneous mixture the fourth one which of the following statements which is false about a silicon NPN junction transistor මොකද්ද මේකේ answer එක okay yeah not the first one it's actually the fourth one අපි transistor එක අපි මොනවද කතා කරනවා transistor ගැන ලොකුවට අපි revise කරේ නැති හින්දා let's do like a very slight discussion ඒවේ recording zone කට්ටිය මගේ ඉල්ල ගන්න in transistors we have NPN and PNP this is a base collector emitter if the arrow is inwards that is PNP if the arrow is outwards that is NPN right so this is a transistor right silicon NPN or PNP these are the transistors right එතන මම මෙන්න මේ ටික කියාමත් මතක් කරන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගොල්ලන් කාට හරි මිස් වුණා නම් මට රෙකෝඩින් ඉල්ල ගන්න we use a transistor for amplification and for switching action right amplification වල අපි කතා කරා current amplifier එකක් විදිහට use කරන්න පුළුවන් signal amplifier එකක් විදිහට use කරන්න පුළුවන් switch එකේදී අපි කිව්වා normal switch එකක් විදිහට වැඩ කරන්නත් පුළුවන් light dependent switch එකක් විදිහට වැඩ කරන්නත් පුළුවන් so we learned 4 circuits in this part applications of transistor වල just to give you a small reminder applications of transistors wala we talked about 2 main applications of transistors as an amplifier amplifying action එක තියෙනවා as amplifying then the switching action so amplifying wala we said it can be used to amplify current amplifier then we said it can also be used to amplify signal amplifier ඊළඟට switching action වල අපි කිව්වා like a normal switch එකක් විදිහට වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් light dependent switch එකක් විදියට. ඒ කියන්නේ light අඩු වැඩි වෙන විදියට එයාගේ switch එක on off වෙනවා. Right? So these are the applications of transistors we learned them quite clearly, right? අපි හැම එකෙම circuits ඇඳලා කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා story එකක් වගේ discuss කරා. Again, if any of you want the recording, let me know. But rectifying alternating voltages, that is not done by transistors. What does this function? Rectifying alternating voltages. Which equipment does it? Which equipment does it? Okay, others? Yes. It's not the capacitor. Yeah, so I got some correct answers. Rectifying alternating voltages karanne kawuda diodes wale, right? Diodes. Diodes walat we talked about two different ways how it can be done: half wave rectification and full wave rectification, right? ඔගාන මතකයි නේද rectifying කියන්නේ මොකද? Now let's say this is an alternating voltage or an alternating current. මෙන්න මෙහෙමනේ තියෙන්නේ. Alternating means directions දෙකට මාරු වෙනවා. අපි ආව එක direction එකකට කරන්නයි ඕනේ. In half wave rectification ඔගාන්ට මතකයි නම් circuit එක මම ආයෙ මෙතන අඳින්න නැහැ. So මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි තිබ්බේ. භාගයයි wave එකේ භාගයයි direct current එකක් උනේ. If we take the full wave rectification, if it's a full wave rectification, the entire wave is becoming a current, a direct current. This is full wave. එතන rectifying කියලා කියන්නේ alternating direct කරන එක. So half wave rectification, full wave rectification. This is rectifying. After that, what do we do? Capacitor එකකින් අපිට පුළුවන් smooth කරන්න විතරයි. This we can smooth out පොඩ්ඩක් මෙන්න මෙහෙම එන විදියට පොඩ්ඩක් smooth out කරන්න පුළුවන්. This we can smooth out like this. ඔන්න වගේ smooth out කරන්න පුළුවන් using a capacitor. So this is done by a capacitor. Okay. So rectifying alternating voltages from a capacitor කිව්වොත් වැරදි. Capacitor is only doing the smoothing part. Rectification part is done by diodes. එක්ක half wave නැත්නම් full wave. Full wave වල අර diodes හතරක් arrange වෙලා තියෙනවා ඒ විදිහට. Transformers වලින් කරන්නේ ඒක නෙවෙයි. මොකක් හරි voltage එකක් වෙනස් කරන එක තමයි transformer එකකින් කරන්නේ. Right? This is the primary coil or the input circuit. We have soft iron. Then this is the output circuit or the secondary coil. So make a number of turns is NP, voltage is VP. Here number of turns is NS, voltage is VS. If you remember, NP over NS equals VP over VS. The step up, step down, if it's a step up, voltage එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Primary coil එකකට secondary coil එකේ voltage එක වැඩි. If it's step down, voltage එක අඩු වෙනවා. Primary coil එකට වඩා secondary coil එකේ voltage එක අඩු. Okay, so that is what a transformer does. ඉතින් පටලවා ගන්න එපා. Transistor, diodes, transformers, capacitors, and then අපි grade 10 වල ඉගෙන ගත්ත resistors. Okay. All right. Next question. If an object, ඔයගොල්ලෝ questions තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න. If an give me a second, lamai. Okay, next one. If an object is to stay in equilibrium under three forces, the resultant force of two forces should be in the same direction as that of the remaining force. Resultant force of three forces should be 0. The three forces should be coplanar. The lines of action of the three forces should meet at the same point. මොකද මේකේ answer එක? දැන් මේ වගේ අපි ගොඩක් discuss කරානේ. What do you think is the answer for this? Hmm? Here, if an object is to stay in equilibrium, ඕනම එකක් equilibrium නම් අපිට if we use the word equilibrium, one second Onelka. If we use the word equilibrium, අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපිට straight away කියන්න පුළුවන් that means resultant 0. That is the meaning of the word equilibrium. Meaning of the word equilibrium is resultant 0. Resultant 0 can equilibrium. Okay. Therefore, when we say equilibrium, we directly can put resultant is 0. So therefore, second one is the correct statement. But let's look at the others as well. The resultant force of two forces should be in the same direction as that of the remaining force. Resultant of two forces should be in the same direction as that of the remaining force. Okay. Let me tell you something here. මෙතන තියෙන equilibrium under three forces. අපි three forces වල ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන instances දෙකක් විතරයි. අර අපි කලින් කතා කරා වගේ let's say මෙහෙම picture එකක් hang කරනවා කියලා. So මෙහෙම force එකක් තියෙනවා, මෙහෙම force එකක් තියෙනවා, මෙහෙම force එකක් තියෙනවා. Okay. So මෙතන තියෙන්නේ coplanar. Three forces. They are coplanar and non-parallel. Then we also talked about this. This is again three forces, still coplanar and parallel. May instances දෙක විතරද ළමයි තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. When we say equilibrium under three forces, does it always have to be this? Can there be anything else? අපි ඉගෙනගෙන නැතිව තියෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? සමහර coplanar වෙන්නේ නැතිව තියෙන්න බැරි නැහැ. අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන coplanar. But there could be instances where the three forces are not coplanar. So if you look at this, the three forces should be coplanar කියන එක is not the correct answer. Yes, three forces coplanar. අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන the three forces should be coplanar. However, ඒක විතරක් තිබ්බා කියලා equilibrium වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Just because the three forces are coplanar, the object will not be in equilibrium. That is why I can't use this. Then the first one, resultant of two forces should be in the same direction as that of the remaining force. What do you think of that? Then if you take මේ දෙන්නගේ resultant එක මේ පැත්තට තියෙනවා, එයාට opposite තමයි අනිත් force එක තියෙන්නේ. But ඒ දෙන්න විතරක් නෙවෙයිනේ. මේ දෙන්නගේ forces විතරක් නෙවෙයි. What about this and this? මෙයාගේ resultant එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. මෙයාගේ resultant එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. Same here. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට ඒකට definitive answer එකක් දෙන්න බෑ. Right? Then the other one, lines of action of the three forces should meet at the same point. That would only be true for this. If there are three forces which are coplanar and non-parallel, they will meet at a common point. But if they are parallel, they won't meet at a common point. ඒක හින්දා අපිට ලේසියෙන්ම ගන්න පුළුවන් answer එක තමයි second එක, because the moment we use the word equilibrium, that means the resultant is 0 without a question. Equilibrium කියන වචනේ තේරුමත් resultant is 0 කියන එක තමයි. Then the question, if an alternating current is supplied to the PN junction, if an alternating current is supplied to the PN junction, how to draw output current? Oneka, the question, alternating current එකක් PN junction එකකට දුන්නාම how to draw output current? That depends on, now PN junction එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ diode එකක්, right? දැන් හිතන්න අපි කොහෙද space එකක් පාගමු. Let's say here. That is something like the half-wave rectification, I think you're asking. Because this is an alternating current. Now this alternating current is given to a PN junction. PN junction එකක් කියන්නේ diode එකක්ම, right? So let's say I arrange the diode like this. And then මෙතනින් මම මොකක් හරි resistor එකක් connect කරනවා. මට current එක හරියට බලාගෙන ammeter එකක් connect කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. Now මෙතන this is an alternating current no. Alternating current කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි current එක තියෙන්නේ. So එතකොට that means the direction constantly changes. මේ පැත්තට current එක යද්දී මේ diode එක through යනවා. Right? If current is going in this direction, that will go through the diode. So එතකොට ඒක මෙතන record වෙනවා මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Then අනිත් direction එකට යද්දී මේ පැත්තට current එක යද්දී මොකද වෙන්නේ? diode එක through current එක යන්නේ නැහැ because it's reverse bias. So අනිත් direction එකට alternating current එක යද්දී මේ circuit එකේ current එක යන්නේ නැහැ. So මෙන්න මෙහෙම you can't draw, or like මෙහෙමවත් you can't draw. Okay. Again මේ direction එකට යනවා. Again the diode lets the current pass because it's full forward bias. So again මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Again අනිත් පැත්තට current එක යනවා. එතකොට diode එකෙන් pass වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ because it's reverse bias. So ඒ වෙලේට මෙතන current එකක් යන්නේ නැහැ. Again අනිත් පැත්තට current එකක් යනවා normal. So this is actually half wave rectification. Wave එකේ භාගයක්ම අපිට convert කරගන්න බැරි වුණා, but still alternating current එක අපි direct current එකක් කරා. Oneka, is it clear? Oneka, is it clear? Okay, give me a second. All right. Okay, then let's move on to the next question. Sixth one. In the urine filtration process taking place in kidneys, which of the following is filtered? අපිට වැඩි kidney questions ආවේ නැහැ. Okay. Which of the following is filtered into the glomerulus from blood? Which one is the right answer? Yeah, okay. Blood cells, we know they are not, blood cells, we know, are they filtered? Blood cells, what do you think? Are blood cells filtered through the glomerulus? Blood cells filter another? No. Plasma proteins filter another? No. And platelets also filter වෙන්නේ because blood cells blood cells අනිවාර්ය filter වෙන්නේ නැහැ. And අනිත් එක තමයි plasma proteins are too big. So plasma proteins කොහොමත් filter වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But glucose filter වෙනවා. Right? In the glomerulus, like from the glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule, glucose filter වෙනවා. ඒතර glucose යනවා. However, ඊට පස්සේ මෙහෙම යන අතරේ selective reabsorption වලදී all the glucose will be obtained back to the blood, absorbed back to the blood. However, in the filtration process, glucose is filtered. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක ආයෙ reabsorb කරගන්නවා. That's a different story. Okay. Is that clear? Amma, give me a thumbs up, please. Okay. Next one, the typical cell is the structural and functional. Cell kiwama, that's one thing. Typical cell is another thing, right? Cell, the structural and functional unit of life, the cell that gives origin to some other cell, cells that undergo division. They are just characteristics of cells. The constructed cell that contains all the organelles, that is the typical cell. If you take then අපි organelles ගොඩක් ඉගෙන ගන්නවානේ, right? The nucleus may be mitochondria, plasma membrane, cell wall, Golgi, endoplasmic reticulum, both rough and smooth, ribosomes, the vacuole, right? මේවා ඉගෙන ගන්නේදී all the plant cells or all the cells will not have all the organelles. Some cells will have more of one particular organelle and have less of another organelle. In some cells, some organelles may not even be present, right? එතකොට එහෙම වුණා අපිට එක එක cells ගොඩක් study කරන්න වෙනවානේ. That is very inconvenient. That is why we take something called a typical cell, right? Typical cell එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ අපි hypothetically we create a cell where all the organelles are present, right? So අපි create කරන cell එකේ all the organelles are present. එතකොට it's easy for us to study these organelles. එක cell එකකින් අපිට ඔක්කොම organelles ටික cover කරගන්න පුළුවන්. That doesn't mean that one cell will have all the organelles. Okay? So typical cell කියන්නේ අපි construct කරන cell එකක් containing all the organelles. Next one. Which of the following equipments is based on the phenomenon of electromagnetic induction? What is it? What is the answer to the eighth one? මේවා නම් ඉතින් ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක තියාගන්න වෙනවා. Not one. When there is a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, a force is generated. ඒකට applications විදිහට අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා direct current motor and loudspeaker. Then we said when there is a conductor and a magnetic field and they have a relative motion, a current will automatically be generated. That is electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction වලට අපි කතා කරා the alternating current dynamo, moving coil magnetic microphone and the bicycle dynamo. Applications ටික මතක තියාගන්න වෙනවා. So here is the fourth answer. Up to this point, is it clear before we move on to the rest? As I said, I will finish around 9 today. But අපි එතකන් කොම්ඩෙක් කරමු. Okay. Let's get the rest of the questions to the whiteboard from 9th question onwards. All right. Of the fruits shown in the following diagrams, which could be a fruit that has suitable adaptations to be dispersed by what? ඊට කලින් මට කියන්නේ if you take one. දැන් අපි dispersal වල ඉගෙන ගත්තා dispersal can happen by animals, by wind, by water, and by explosive mechanism. If you take one, does it look more like something that is dispersed by an animal or water or wind or explosive mechanism? One got the first one. Okay, Vihara. Others? Actually, make up animals. This is animals. මොකද මේගොල්ලන්ගේ තියන්නේ පොඩි hooks වගේ. So මේ වටේට hooks වගේ තියනවා කියන්නේ they are dispersed. These are dispersed by animals because it's very easy to get attached to or to get entangled into an animal. Okay. Then if you take the fourth one, what do you think about the fourth one? What do you think about the fourth one? That's easy. Yeah, no? That looks like wind. Wind වලින් disperse වෙනවා වගේ තමයි. මොකද අර hairs වගේ තියෙනවානේ. If there are like hairs or like a fluffy nature, that is most probably dispersed by wind. Third එක නම් you can't say very clearly මොකද මේක 2D diagram එකක් හින්දා. But that kind of looks like explosive mechanism too. මොකද දෙපැත්තෙන් explode වෙලා යනවා. But ඕක හරියට ගත්තොත් නිකන් wings වගේ පේන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතකොට that could be like wind කියලා හිතන්නත් පුළුවන් ඔයගලන්ට. මොකද මේ picture එක එච්චර clear නැහැ. So it could be either explosive mechanism or wind looking at it. හරියටම clear නැහැ. මොකද මේවා wings වගේ structures කියලා අරගත්තොත් අපිට wind කියලා හිතන්න පුළුවන්. But otherwise මේක දෙපැත්තට මෙහෙම explode වෙනවා කියලා ගත්තොත් it could be seen as explosive mechanism. However, let's look at the second one. That looks like it is dispersed by water. Why do I say that? Remember, Lamai, when a particular seed is dispersed by water, ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා pores, air filled වෙච්ච pores or shells වගේ තියෙනවා. So මෙතනත් නිකන් බලන්න මේ ඇතුලේ නිකන් spaces air filled වෙලා වගේ නේද තියෙන්නේ. Therefore, this is the answer. මේ question එක try කරද්දී මේ question එක design කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට directly answer එක ගන්න නෙවෙයි. මොකද එකපාරට මේක දැක්කම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට water ද මේ air fill කරපු shells ද you can't clearly see නේ. මේකේ answer එක ගන්න ඕනේ අනිත් ටික බලලා. මෙයා animal කියලා it's very clear. මෙයා wind කියලා very clear. මෙයා looks most probably like explosive mechanism. එහෙනම් ඉතුරු answer එක මෙයානේ. And then that looks like water කියලා තමයි ඒක underline කරන්න ඕනේ. Otherwise යාව දැක්ක ගමන් කෙලිම water කියන කොළුවට යන්නේ නැහැ. අනිත් ටිකත් බලලා තමයි you have to get the most suitable answer is 2, that is water. එහෙම තමයි ඒතර ඒකේ answer එක ගන්න වෙන්නේ. Okay? Then let's move on to the next one. If you have any doubts or questions, ask me. මම හැම එකකෙම ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ තේරුණාද කියලා අහන්නේ නැහැ, but ask. 10th. Consider the following statements about catalysts. Catalysts increase as well as decrease the reaction rates. What do you think? Is that correct or wrong? Catalysts increase as well as decrease reaction rates. Wrong. Why do you say it's wrong? Why is it wrong? Yeah. Catalysts will increase, they only increase the rate of reaction. To decrease the rate of reaction, we use an inhibitor. Yes, for decreasing, we use an inhibitor. Increase with the right catalyst. So therefore, A is wrong. B, though catalysts take part in the chemical reaction, they are not consumed during the reaction. That is correct, ne? They take part, ne? They take part by they increase the reaction rate. But ඒගොල්ලන් consume වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Reaction එක start කරලා දින්න catalyst amount එකම තමයි reaction එක ඉවර වෙද්දී තින්නේ. So this is correct. Then C, a small amount of the catalyst is adequate for a large amount of reactants. That is also correct. So only B and C, that is the second answer. Good. Next one. Consider the 11th question. Consider the following equation. 2C6H12O6 double-headed arrows C12H2O11 plus H2O. May Mukad, what is his reaction? You know C6H12O6 that is a monosaccharide, ne? Yes, formula. C6H12O6 is a monosaccharide and we know C12H22O11 is a disaccharide. This is the formation of a disaccharide. Yes. Monosaccharides dekak ekatu wela disaccharide ekui watai hada. Therefore, definitely A, which is A can C6H12O6, that has to be a monosaccharide. B is C12H22O11 and that should be a disaccharide. First එක glucose and maltose. Glucose දෙකක් එකතු වෙලා maltose හැදෙනවා. Okay, so that seems correct. Second one, glucose, cellulose. Cellulose is wrong because cellulose is a polysaccharide. වැරදි. Fructose, starch. Fructose is monosaccharide but starch is polysaccharide. Wrong. Fructose, glycogen, again the same thing. Glycogen is a polysaccharide, so it's wrong. First one is the right answer. Yes. අපි 12th එක discuss කරලා ඉවර කරමු. When a block of wood A is placed in a liquid, it floats with a part immersed. Which of the following is the true statement in relation to this? What do you think? Make up last week kata karane neda lamai. In the last class, I remember discussing about the upthrust මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියලා. So හිතන්න මෙන්න මෙහෙම ඔයා ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් දානවා ලික්විඩ් එකකට, ෆ්ලුයිඩ් එකකට. දාපු ගමන් ඕනම ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් මැදට යනවා. When it goes to the middle, then මේ යටට upthrust, යටට weight උඩට upthrust, right? Now here upthrust is greater than the weight. Then what will happen is that now here the upthrust is greater than the weight. Therefore, this object will move up, 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 and up to this point until the weight and upthrust becomes equal. So at this position, weight equals upthrust. සමහර කට්ටිය මෙම water වලට දාපු ගමන් when they go to the middle, මෙතනදී මේගොල්ලන්ගේ upthrust and weight equal වෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ විදිහටම middle එකේ float වෙවි ඉන්නවා. Then in some others, මෙහෙම middle එකට දැම්මහම weight becomes greater than the upthrust. So what will happen is that they will go and sink at the bottom. I think I remember that we discussed something like this in the last class as well. එතකොට මෙතන බලුවොත් එහෙම upthrust is equal to the total weight. That should be true. Weight of the liquid displaced by A is equal to the weight of the part of A immersed in the liquid. අපි එහෙම එකක් ඉගෙනගෙන නැහැනේ. අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන්නේ weight of the liquid displaced is equal to the upthrust කියලා. Weight of the liquid displaced is equal to the weight of the A immersed in the liquid. එහෙම එකක් අපි ඉගෙනගෙන නැහැ. ඉගෙන ගන්න නැතිව අහන්නේ නැහැ exam එකේ, right? What we have learned is weight of the liquid displaced is equal to the upthrust. So මේක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. The volume of the liquid displaced දන්නේ මේක ඇත්තට වැරදි. දන්නේ නැහැ අපි, but it's wrong. The volume of the liquid displaced by A is equal to the total volume of A. Again, we don't know. Volume ගැන අපි කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ නේ. We talk about the weight of the liquid displaced, not the volume. Density of A is equal to the density of the liquid. We don't know. We don't have any values, right? අපි ඒක දන්නේ නැහැ. So then first one is the correct answer. Up to this point, did you all understand everything that we did today? Others? Vihara, Michele, Tinuli, Imasha. Okay. All right, ළමයි. So 12th class එක මම හරියටම බලලා කියන්නම්. 12th අපිට ටිකක් කලින් පටන් ගන්න සමහරට පුළුවන් වෙයි. එහෙම වුණොත් ඒක නම් අපිට 6 වගේ පටන් ගන්න වෙයි. එහෙම කලින් පටන් ගන්නවා නම්. But just in case, I will check and let you all know. But 14th and 16th classes will be there for sure. Okay. So then we can end the class for today. We'll see each other next day, ළමයි. Study and keep practicing, huh? Okay. Have a good day, you too. Yes, I'll send the whiteboard note.